What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Photo Reflections. On today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 15 photos that I took these past few months. This episode is for March through May, and kind of just going to walk through them, discuss them a little bit. I want to give my photos more space to kind of exist on the internet besides just, on Instagram where people double tap and then swipe them right away. So kind of just want to ramble a little bit. Hopefully this is interesting for some of you, see my process, kind of get some behind the scenes on what I think are some of the better photos that I took these past few months. So this month, as always, I picked 15 photos. I got 10 honorable mentions. And then 5 of my favorite photos, which I'll go a little more in depth on. So let's get into the honorable mentions. First up, also, I'm not titling these photos anymore because that's really hard. I can't think of like a title for a photo to save my life. So honorable mention number 1 is this photo, which I took in Paris. I took this. I don't actually remember exactly where I took this. The only thing I know about it is that it's really close to the Emily in Paris restaurant where that show was filmed. Yeah, I really outed myself there, huh? I really like this photo. I think that, when I saw it as I was walking, I immediately knew that I was going to take this picture. I have been really into kind of harsh light for a while now, but when I was in Paris, I was really playing with those highlighted people against a really dark shadow background. I really like the geometry of the limbs, the way they're positioned, the way the shoes match. I really like just whatever's going on with those arms, I think is so cool. And then you've got these textures of the stairs, the brick on the ground, and then these columns coming down, and all these textures just come together. So my next honorable mention photo that I want to talk about is this one that I took in Baltimore a couple of weeks ago. This is a little different than the other photos I think you'll find because I took it with the Lumix, and this is one of those photos I was talking about that I took on a walk, and I really like this photo. To be honest, from a technical standpoint, it might not be the one of the better photos on this list, but to me this photo kind of means something. It really evokes something in me, which I think is interesting. I really like the way that the building has kind of been cropped to have this really weird, distorted looking effect, like something out of the Matrix. I think that's really interesting. And I really just love the tones of this guy's skin. Weirdly, I think the nipple completes the photo. I don't know why. But the way he's got this silhouetted background, just looking back on it, I just think this photo looks really cool. Next up is this photo. I took this at Place des Vosges in Paris, and this one was kind of in my little Instagram reel, YouTube short video, if you saw that. And this photo is one of my favorite photos I took in Paris. A lot of the things that I was trying to photograph came together in this photo. So, like I said, playing with these highlighted subjects on this really dark background, I think was something I was really into in Paris. The way the lighting was just working, and the thing that I think makes this photo in the weirdest way, the top of this guy's head and then the shape of the arch with this empty space in the sky kind of matches the baldness of the subject. Totally ludicrous thing to suggest, because I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone, but to me, this guy and the arch parallel each other. I just really like that. I think this photo is interesting. Obviously, there could be more layering, there could be more going on, but for me, this was a successful photo because I was trying to incorporate these elements of light, fashion, architecture, interest, and I kind of was able to do that with this photo. This next honorable mention photo is one that I took Actually, at one of my photo classes, I was teaching in Baltimore at the Inner Harbor, and I had always seen this red ship. I mean, it's hard to miss in the Inner Harbor, and I always tried to incorporate the colors and the kind of design on the side of it in some way, and I had never really gotten something I was happy with until I took this photo. I think the Lumix just nails the colors here. I think the red on the red is intriguing. I really like the way the father is bending over the daughter, and you know, you don't see any faces in this photo, but I do think you kind of get a little bit of humanity, a little bit of interaction going on there, and the way that they're kind of positioned around her, if you will, they're composed around this little girl, to me kind of just represents family. They're protecting her, and they love her, and I think that you kind of get that feeling. It came out just looking exactly like I wanted it to, and so I was really happy with this one. Up next, this photo is another favorite of mine from Paris, and I took this one at night, right on the main river, which is the Seine, I think, and we were just walking along there, walking home from dinner one night, and I saw this woman taking this really long, slow drag of her cigarette, and totally coincidentally, this guy in front of the frame walked in, and he has, you know, the beret, he looks French, and so it just kind of worked as an extra layer to this photo. Again, technically speaking, maybe not the best photo. Maybe there should be something going on that left side where there's some negative space there. But, you know, in terms of capturing a moment that lasts a millisecond, I mean, this guy was in frame and then out immediately at this focal length. So I felt very lucky to capture this one, and I think it is nice that it has those two layers to it. And, you know, it's a little stereotypical, but you know, I think it's just, at the end of the day, a good image. Sometimes you have to take those stereotypical ones, those stereotypical photos, but I think this one works. So this next honorable mention is, I think, a better technical photo than the other ones that I've taken. And when I say technical, what I really mean is traditionally it kind of has a little more of the elements that you see from photographers like Alex Webb, Joel Meyerowitz, you know, where there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of energy in the scene, it's composed well, but when I say technical, I mean traditional, I guess, in that sense. And so here you've got kind of, again, harsh light and shadow, so you've got this face sneaking out on the right side, and this was a family that was loading their bags in the car at the airport. I think it could be better, you know, you could have more of an emotion from the person on the left, maybe a little more of the person in the middle, maybe if they were bigger. But I do think that this photo came out pretty well. I think that the arch of the building on top, and then the, you know, kind of, I think it's a barrier or something on the bottom left, kind of adds some interesting geometry into the photo. And I was able to kind of be in the scene. You know, I really put my camera, you know, basically on their bags to take this photo, which, you know, I think is something that I struggle with, and I think I did well here. So this photo makes the cut because it kind of more of a traditionally good street photograph than the other ones. I was really happy with this next honorable mention as well. This photo was one, again, I took in Inner Harbor in Baltimore. I took this on the X Pro, again at a class, I believe. And yeah, I, to be honest, was drawn to this line of pillars, and then the kind of boxes that were happening behind it. I thought that was interesting. And there were some kids playing, but I didn't expect this kid to just walk up and just put his head down. I don't know what he was doing, but he was doing something with this front pillar, and he's got this interesting bear costume on, and then you've got the girl playing in the background. And so I liked all of those different layers. if you know me, you know I'm a sucker for some geometry, so getting those squares was nice. But yeah, just interesting subject. I tried to make it an interesting composition, and you know, I do think that this is one of those photos that you kind of take a second and you look at each thing, and you kind of take that extra bit of time to pay attention to it, which is always what I'm striving for with my street photos. So I was happy with this one. I'm doing so well without water, but I'm dying. This next honorable mention is one that was in my video from my street market photo walk in Sarlaw. And it was a really interesting scene. I don't know if you can really tell from that video what's going on. To be honest, I had no idea what was going on. I saw this guy kind of extend this box of cereal to these two women who didn't know who he was, and they looked just as confused as I was about what was supposed to be happening with this guy just handing them a box of Fruit Loops. And I thought it was a really interesting scene, so I tried to kind of get in the middle of it, like I was saying with the last one, and kind of just get under him, and I did, and I think it's interesting. I think this photo could be better. I think maybe if I had more of him, a little more context, but I do like just the randomness that is this photo. I think it's kind of endearing. So this next photo is another one where I kind of chose it because it fits a little more of the bill traditionally in terms of what makes a good street photograph. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting scene. So this is also in Sarlaw, but this is within the indoor market, which is this crazy building. I thought it was a church. It has this door, which is just 40, 50 feet tall. Massive door, and that's what this is. This background, this dark gray area is that door, and obviously it has like a little mini door on the bottom of it as well. But yeah, so during the market they opened this up, and there was things happening in there, and this woman was explaining something to these people about, I guess, what the building was maybe. But I just thought that the expressions, the gestures, you know, the guy on the left kind of looking over like this, the woman obviously describing, and then you get these two elderly people who are just like, whoa, that is a big fucking door. And I think all of that combines, and then again, you know, I like the geometry in the background. You have no idea what is happening in this scene, what is going on with this door that's opening, and then there's just a building. I really like this one. Okay, so the last honorable mention I have is this one right here, and this is a photo that I took at the Sakura Matsuri Festival in DC, which I guess is like a Japanese cherry blossom festival, but a lot of people came in cosplay, a lot of people came in traditional Japanese outfits. This was a scene that I was really happy with because I like the symmetry of it. So you've got on the outside these two groups of people walking, and then as you work your way in, you've got these two friends who are kind of both have these really interesting expressions, and then you've got just this really punchy purple outfit in the middle with this, you know, blue tint in her hair, and then the hairpin, which I think is just as interesting as the back of a head can get. So yeah, those are the honorable mentions. Let's get into the top 5 photos, hopefully before my camera dies again or this SD card runs out. So let's do it. Top 5. So this photo is number 5, and this is a photo I took again in a video on this channel when I was testing the XE4 versus the M9 monochrome files. This is from my XE4, and I was drawn to this scene by the interesting shadow that kind of, you know, it went straight up and then it had a little branch coming out, and I think it was being made by a tree and a light post or something, and I just thought that was interesting, and then I liked the lines going behind it, so I thought it was kind of just an interesting backdrop to let subjects walk into, and I got lucky and got 2 subjects perfectly lined up to be lined up with those shadows, and it was a very well timed photo, I will say, because I waited for a bunch of people to pass, and this didn't happen any other time. And again, you know, you're talking about a photo without a face. How do you make that interesting? I think that the the shine of her hair and the like fur hood just kind of creates this texture in the back of this lady's head. But then you get the glasses outlined, and I think for me that's what makes this photo, is it adds character to a shadow. And I think that's a really interesting thing. It kind of adds an extra layer of depth. And so yeah, all of it kind of came together in that sense. Alright, sorry, I had to change cameras. Like I said, my XZ4 just died. So this next photo was one that I took in Paris. We were sitting kind of in the grass at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower. We had a bottle of wine, and a lot of other people had the same idea. So we were just there hanging out, and it was a really hot day, really sunny, no clouds in the sky. And, you know, I wasn't really taking photos, but as we got up to leave, I saw this couple, and this woman's just wearing the most typical French outfit you've ever seen, you know, with this red plaid sweater vest shirt thing, this beret, and then these tiny booty shorts. And you've also got all these other things going on in this frame. So you've got, you know, the guy who's laying with her, and, you know, their feet are interesting. It's got some emotion there. You've got this bottle of wine, but then you've got this guy behind them who is kind of also sitting in the sun, in an interesting position. And you've got this other couple behind them, cuddling it up. And then in the top left of this frame, kind of separated by this row of flowers, you've got this one girl in red who's just, you know, doing her thing, whatever she's doing, kind of separated, looking away from her family, clearly in her own world. And to me, this kind of represents the attitude of Paris, just kind of laid back, chilling, and, you know, you've got just this romantic aspect to it. And that was another theme that I was kind of going for with my France photos, was this element of romance. You know, just, I had just watched Emily in Paris, now referenced it twice in this video, sue me. And you know what, I was thinking romance would be a nice thing to include in my photos. It's a nice element, a nice emotion. And to me, I think this photo kind of has that in a playful way, not in such a serious or dramatic way. And yeah, the more I look at this photo, just the more I enjoy it. And again, it's a little messy compositionally, but I like that. I like that it's an authentic moment. So yeah, I was really happy with this photo. So number 3 on my list, my third favorite photo from the last few months, again from the Sakura Matsuri Festival, and it's this, you know, family or families kind of sitting at the tables that they had set out for people to eat at. And the thing that I love about this scene is just the emotion and the randomness that's going on. So you've got this one girl who is clearly not having a good time, and her sister is, you know, kind of just, I think in my mind, just trying to copy her, by also, you know, facing backwards on the chair, also looking a little grumpy. You've got this mom who's kind of telling them something, you know, she looks like she's maybe angry, they're not enjoying themselves or whatever. You've got this kid in the background who's just like making a funny face. And this other kid who's carrying a soccer ball and standing on his chair. Just such chaotic energy. And I love that the costumes make them interesting. I think that the emotion and the layers just adds so much to the photo. So this one was one I was really happy with from that festival, and to me it just kind of captures the mood of the event. I think for a lot of people it was a little overwhelming. There was a lot going on, and it was pure chaos. So I really like this photo. I think this one came out really cool. Another thing I like about it is all the leading lines, kind of building layers into the frame. Kind of just separating the first row of subjects from the second row, and kind of just isolating them in that way. I think that worked really well. Alright, so number 2 on this list, another one from Sakura Matsuri Festival, and it was really hard for me to pick a favorite image between these last two. I was really happy with this image and the way it came out. To be honest, I think it still needs some work in terms of an edit. Maybe even flipping it to black and white might be better. But I really like this photo. I saw these people with these hats, and they were already interesting. This girl with these really long nails, and they kind of stood out from the crowd to me because we'll touch back on geometry. I really like the kind of shape of these hats and the way that in Western culture, in your everyday life in Washington, D.C., you don't see hats like this. So it's really interesting to me, the way that they kind of work compositionally. And then you've got this guy in the back with just this perfect pointing gesture. His wrist could not be more, flexed, and yellow bracelet as well kind of catches my eye. You've got this yellow accent on the other guy's shirt, so those kind of balance out for me. And then just in the background, you've got this brief glimpse of the Washington Capitol building. If you're looking for a decisive moment, I think this was really it. I feel very lucky that I got, this gesture happening, because otherwise, these are two people wearing hats in the middle of a crowd, and that photo isn't interesting. Having this guy pointing, this gesture, just kind of makes it alive for a split second. It brings life, as my friend I Shot Baltimore Larry likes to say, humanity to the photo, which I think is really cool, and I think works for this frame. And so yeah, I was really happy with this photo, and I wasn't sure whether I wanted this to be number one or this next one, but I'm pretty happy with my choice. So my number one photo from March, April, or May is this photo. This photo actually does have a title. This photo is titled Clockwork, and if I title my photo, you know it's real. So this is another photo from the Sarlaw street market. Unfortunately, I didn't get this moment captured on the POV footage, but yeah, I was just walking along, and I was kind of intrigued by this wall of clocks. I thought that was kind of interesting. You don't normally see a lot of clocks just outside, and just kind of the way they were laid out, and then beautiful artwork as well. And then you've got this kind of grid pattern happen behind them, and I saw these two people talking, and I could see the woman's hands, but I couldn't see her. But I kind of had this intuitive moment where I was like, all right, something's gonna happen. She's gonna do something that's gonna look cool. He's gonna do something that looks cool, and when I went up to them, he was focused on her. He wasn't looking at me. And so, again, you want to talk about a non-interesting photo, some guy looking and then just a random hand. But right at the second where he looked at me was exactly when she made the gesture I wanted. She hits this kind of right angle with her hand, with her thumb up. So you got a right angle here, and it's an arm, and that's the only thing you see coming out from behind those clocks. And so, I took this photo, and I thought it would be cool, but I loaded it up, looked at it on the big screen, and I was just kind of mind blown when I put together, arm, clock arm. Kind of an obvious obvious juxtaposition, but I don't know, man. Something about this photo just makes me feel some type of way. Like, I genuinely think this might be the best street photo I've ever taken. Just because, you've got like so much of a story happening here. Like, you're not sure exactly what's going on. You have no idea why there's an arm sticking out from this clock stand. Why there's this guy kind of, giving you that eye contact. But because he is, and because this hand is still going, like whoever's talking is still talking, it just creates a moment. And that's what it's all about, is about capturing a moment that, you will never capture again. A moment that's there for 1/1000th of a second, and then it's gone. And yeah, man, I don't really know more than that compositionally what it is that's good about this image. It might not be. I'm sure if there's obviously things to critique about this. Maybe it would have been more interesting to have the two people and then the clocks. Maybe I shouldn't have had clocks at all, but yeah, I'm really happy with this. I think just the way that arm is positioned, that angle, it just makes the photo. It just brings everything together. And I like that there's still a little ambiguity in terms of, what is above them. Is that an umbrella? Obviously the yellow part's an umbrella. Is this white part an umbrella? Really, it's just a block with some lines compositionally, and I think it kind of leads into the frame a little bit. I think the yellow kind of draws you into the hand. This line on top kind of draws right into the clocks. And so I think your eye kind of naturally progresses, into the clocks and then into the subject through the arm. Whoa, that's deep. I just shocked myself. Yeah, that happens. That's it's just so interesting to me. I don't know. I think it's just a unique scene. You don't see a scene like this every day. I don't think it's stereotypical, which, talking about those conical hats, those are a little stereotypical. Kind of not an easy photo, but you see those a lot in street photography. Those are going to work somehow. With this, there was no guarantee that this scene was going to work, that it was going to look cool. And, to be honest, maybe to you guys it doesn't. I don't know. For me, this scene is just unique, and the juxtaposition of the arm and the clocks is something that I've never thought of before. And so, yeah, I think for those reasons, this is it. This is my best photo of the last few months, and possibly ever, in my opinion. So there you have it. Those are my top 15 photos from the last couple months. Kind of feel like despite having taken quite a bit of time away from street photography, I feel like a lot of these photos are better than the ones from last time. So, let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know your thoughts on these photos. If you have critiques or if you have feedback, I would love to hear it. But yeah, that's been my last few months. I feel like, it's weird. I'm still not really shooting a lot. I haven't gone out for a real day of street photography since France. Kind of just bringing my camera on walks with me, but I do feel like I'm on it right now with street photography. I feel like I'm in a good place, and hopefully in the next few months, especially being back in DC, I will have the ability to get out and create some real great photos. But I'm really happy with the way these last few months have been turning out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned. Hit subscribe on the down below, because I do have some good videos coming up. I've got a street photography tips video coming up. I've got kind of a bigger France video that's going to come soon. And I really want to start putting out more discussion-based videos. So those will be coming soon. Thank you so much. If you're watching this, you are I'm not going to swear, but you're a real one. You're really real. I really appreciate it. The fact that you're here paying attention to me talking about my work, nothing means more to me than that. So thank you. You're a real one, and I will see you in the next video.